A really big welcome to the Salon Chat Room podcast with Angeline Hayden, founder of Midas Customer Service Training and Salon Solutions, and Kerry Humphreys, founder of Locate Your Look. Please help us welcome our guests for today. We are sure you'll be suitably entertained and learn something new and inspiring about our amazing industry. Today on the Salon Chat Room podcast, we welcome the lovely Hayley Jepson. Now, Hayley is a coach and educator, and her skill is coaching hairdressers to avoid burnout and thrive in the industry. So welcome, Hayley.
Hi, and welcome back to the Salon Chat Room podcast with myself and Angeline. Today we have Hayley Jepson. Hayley is a hairdressing coach and educator, and her business is called The Resilient Hairdresser. Right, we're all excited to know, what's the Resilient Hairdresser? How do you coach us all?
Well, I call myself a burnout coach because my specialist area is stressed out hairdressers. So usually
there's a few of those out there.
Yes, so I'm busy. So my background is in hairdressing. I've been hairdressing for nearly 30 years. I specialised in colour. But I burnt out I think it's about 10 years ago now. I mean, not for the first time, but I burnt out to the point where I just didn't really want to be a hairdresser anymore. And around that time, I was having therapy because I was struggling with my mood and depression and what have you. And I got really fascinated in psychotherapy beyond myself. So I decided to quit hairdressing, train to be a therapist, and that's what I did. So obviously that didn't happen overnight. It takes 4 years to train to be a therapist. But I did it alongside hairdressing, and I quit. And I worked as a psychotherapist for 5 years.
Isn't it interesting, Hayley, that experiences of life and career can sometimes change the way that you're thinking about your future career? That's incredible.
It's totally mental though, because it was really interesting, because when I started, after about 5 years of being a therapist, I wasn't enjoying it the same. I found the work quite lonely and my mood was dropping again. I think once the novelty of being out of the chaos of hairdressing was over, my mood was dropping again. And one way or another, I got lured back into hairdressing and I quit being a therapist. But I started to think to myself, what a waste of time that was. What a waste of money. And then, a couple of years later, I was like, what a genius I am. Because when I pulled it all together, finally, I was like, oh, this was good. It was all leading somewhere. But there was periods where I just kept thinking everything was a waste of time. What a waste of time being a hairdresser. What a time being a therapist. And then I was like, oh, hang on, here's my calling, I've got it, So what happened was I got offered I was always getting offered jobs as a hairdresser when I was a therapist, and I kept saying no. And then one day I thought, go on, I'll just do a day for my friend in their salon. And I started to really enjoy my days in the salon. When I wake up and it was a salon day, I was happier. And I think it was the contact with more people that really suited me. And what I noticed as I was hairdressing was the things that used to stress me out weren't stressing me out anymore. It was just going over my head a bit, and I just felt much happier. And it took me a more time to put this together, but I realised that I had something I could teach hairdressers that I learned as a therapist, and I could teach them how to look after themselves because it was clearly working for me. So that's when it all came together and I created the Resilient Hairdresser.
You had a different sort of mindset, would you?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of, more resilience, which is why I use the word resilience. I had way more things in my toolkit to look after myself. I didn't feel as raw and as fragile, and my mental health was better. I just felt sturdier in myself. That's one of the ways I would describe it.
Yeah, because hairdressing is one of them things. It doesn't matter how you're feeling on that day, you still have to go into work and be.
Yeah, you better put the show on.
And you have to be smiling, and you have to listen to everybody else's problems.
It's almost like a poker face, isn't it?
Yeah, we always say the show must go on.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hard. And one of the things I talk about in my live workshops is, the reason mental health is so important to hairdressers is we've got to pretend to be happy even when we're not. You know, I mean, not bouncing off the walls happy, but at least pleasant.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just hide in a cubicle with your computer and sulk for the day. You know, you have to pull it out of the bag every day. And that takes a lot of energy. And on a bad day, it takes way more energy. And if you're constantly using more and more energy, you will burn out.
Yeah.
You know, if you're always stealing tomorrow's energy today, there comes a point where there's none left.
It's like this time, isn't it? It's like we've just come out of lockdown number 2. So there's lots of business owners, hairdressers, all sort of kind of feeling burnt out before they start the busiest month of the year. December is the busiest month of the year. It's going to be really different this year. It's going to be, not everybody's going to be happy. They're not there's no Christmas parties.
No.
It's going to be more difficult for hairdressers to actually feel that enthusiasm. So what advice would you give to them now to sort of kind of think, right, get that vavoom, the Christmas vavoom, without having to
Well, it's so interesting, actually. I speak to a lot of hairdressers and salon owners, and what a lot of people have been saying to me is they're feeling the buzz in the salon for the first time this year at Christmas, you know. So I kind of hear people are actually feeling a bit more excited than they have. I think people are grateful to be open at Christmas. You know, there's a salon that I work with, and they're so funny, and they've been doing some brilliant stuff. They keep wearing fancy dress just to try and cheer themselves up and just create a laugh, you know. Honestly, they're so brilliant. The salon owner is amazing, and she's really good at keeping the mood up in the salon, you know. And I mean, what I sort of worry about for salons this year is that everyone's adrenaline is so high because, you know, when we're working flat out. It's like it's been like Christmas every day that we've been in this year because it's been mental. And then when you're off, you're stressed because you're worried about money and you're worried about your salon and you're worried about whatever. So your adrenaline stays high. So no one's adrenaline has come down this year, and that has a real physical toll. So my main advice to people is, you've got to factor in a break at some point. You know, it's this, when are you going to take a break, like a proper one? You know, is it going to be January, or are you fully booked through January? You know, people have really got to start prioritizing rest, and it's terrifying to people because people are so scared of money. But the thing is, if you burn out, you get no money.
So you know, are you trying to get them to think ahead a little bit rather than just live in the moment? Because when you're living in the moment, you're not really looking after your mental health, are you? You're just living adrenaline. I
think people are a bit reactionary sometimes, and it's just like 7 days, let's work 7 days. And I just feel terrified for people, you know, and I think for some people, January isn't a let up, you know, they're fully booked then. And I say this a lot. It's a marathon, not a sprint, hairdressing. And you've got to really conserve your energy to be successful in the long game. And I just keep seeing this mental falling off a cliff, you know, sort of attitude all year. And I feel nervous for people's physical health, actually, but mental health too.
Because it is really the side of it is actually mental and physical, isn't it?
Yeah, they're linked. Of course. I think that definitely for me personally, and I saw this a lot as a therapist and just generally talking to hairdressers, sometimes your physical health will try and get your attention because you're not paying attention to the mental health. It's easier to shove away stress and just think, I'll take a break when this is over. And eventually you will get physical problems because your body starts shouting at you to listen. You know, and for me, what happens is my back goes. That's the common thing for me. You know, if I push too hard, my back will put me on the floor for a month to make sure I take a break. So I've started to listen. It took a long time.
Lindsay, Hayley, there are lots of salon owners and managers out there. What advice would you give, especially this time of year with all the chaos? What advice or tips would you give to them, particularly about managing their team?
I think the thing to do, I mean, I understand that salon owners are really worried about money at the moment, and hairdressers are worried about money and commission, and, you know, you've got to sort of work when the opportunity, and I get that people are doing a few extra hours and stuff like that. But I think, you know, I would recommend that salon owners are checking in with their staff and seeing if they're okay and if they're coping, asking if there's anything they can do to help. You know, just checking in, because some staff can really cope with extra hours much better than others.
Yeah.
And, you know, some might just not be able to cope with as much, or might just need something from you, you know. And I think be thinking about when they're going to get a break. And just really, I just think the main thing is being in communication with your staff and not just presuming that they're okay. You know, don't get too distracted with worrying about money. Make sure that the team are coping.
Absolutely. And there are some staff that we all know that perhaps won't be maybe confident enough to say, look, I'm struggling a little bit here.
Yeah.
So perhaps you're right. Maybe they need to reach out to their staff to check. Brilliant advice.
Well, definitely. The culture comes from the top, you know, so I think that it's salon owners' jobs to, you know, foster a looking after culture in their salon. You know, I think it goes downwards, so it has to start at the top. And I can imagine that salon owners can get swept away at the moment with other things and not realise and just think it's okay. But I think even just a little check-in, the staff would really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Hayley, was as a previous salon owner myself, I'm a workaholic. I felt that, I'm fine, I can just carry on and carry on. I'm just tired. My feet are just tired. It's not me who's tired. But how do people recognise they're actually burning out? How do they actually feel that it's not just after 10 hours?
Oh, that's a good question.
How do they feel that they're actually getting to the burnout stage?
Yeah, I think one of the big signs is when you stop enjoying things that used to be fun. So when things start to feel a chore, so like when your partner says, so we go for dinner, and you're like, I'm too tired for that, or I'm too busy. You know, when fun becomes a chore, that's a sign of a problem, I think. And I think that's, you know, it's not the first sign, but I think it's one of the first ones that's more noticeable.
Yeah.
You know, that people, and that's what I notice first, is when when my friends are like, do you want to come for dinner? And I think, no, I'm far too busy and tired for that. What are you talking about? And, you know, when a night in is so much more preferable than connecting with other people, I think that's a sign that you're doing too much.
Yeah.
So maybe people, if they're starting to withdraw a little bit, these are the signs that they can kind of look for. Maybe things, like you say, are not fun anymore. They're withdrawing. They're not interacting with people. So
that's to get a bit joyless.
Hairdressers are quite joyless, aren't they? They're joyful. I mean, they're quite. They do get to the stage of joyless, but we are sort of really jolly people, and we are these sort of people that really look forward to going to work. Oh, Mrs. Jones is in today. I can't wait to hear all about her. And, but I must say that actually that rings a bell to me, because when I was a salon owner, I was sort of I'd started Locate Your Look, and I was trying to sort of kind of do both of them together. And I felt that I was concentrating too much on both the businesses, that everything else was a chore.
Yeah, I think it's
for me getting burnt out. So
it is. It's so hard, and I think, you know, you have to think sometimes, why am I doing all this work so you can have a better life? But when, you know, you're losing your life to your job, you know, we're out of whack, and, you know, we really need fun and play as adults, but it's the first thing to go often, along with looking after yourself.
Yeah. So when people get to that burnout stage, what's the advice to turn around and go, right, is it just time off, or is it, what is it?
I think it's having a look at your priorities and your responsibilities and seeing what you can put down. Starting by following me on Instagram. I would say you've got to look at, you know, I always, you know, we have responsibilities we can't put down. You know, you've got to look after your kids and feed them, you know, that's just not negotiable. But there are sometimes responsibilities that we can put down. and things that are not actually our responsibility. A lot of us that get burnt out, we love to pick up responsibility, and sometimes you can give that back. But I say this to people, like, what is non-negotiable, and try not to do anything that's not non-negotiable for a while. So it's not take time off and take a break. I think it's a reduction of responsibility. I think that too much responsibility weighs really heavy on people.
Yeah,
I feel like
the things that are important and need done, and leave the ones that are not so.
Yeah, and even if it's just for, you can say for a short time, I'm not going to do this. So sometimes it's outsourcing. Like, I do things like this in December when it's busy. I just refuse to cook. I'm just like, it's not happening. I get gallstones.
I used to cook all the time.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan. But you get outsourcing, get a food service, get a cleaner, just reduce your responsibilities. I find that there can be a culture of doing everything.
Yeah. They do say, don't they, if you want a job done, you give it to a busy woman.
Yeah.
That's good and that's bad.
Yeah, it is, we can be brilliant, but it can really turn on us.
So the tip is to say no sometimes.
Definitely. And even for a while, learn to say no. And I sort of say this sometimes, can I do what's being asked of me and still look after myself? That's the question that I ask, can I do this for this person, or will it be detrimental to me? And if the answer is yes, well, it's a no.
Great advice.
Yeah,
great advice, Hayley.
We have a finite amount of energy, we're not bottomless pits of energy, so you've got to be very careful where you spend it.
And you're talking about mental and physical energy, aren't you?
Yeah. I think about it all as one.
Yeah, so listening here to you, Hayley, now, and as a previous salon owner myself, I feel that all salons out there could benefit having you there, sort of giving advice to them and their team, because if their team gets burnt out, the salon isn't going to run smoothly, is it?
Well, this is it. I think to myself, I want to reduce. I think a lot of hairdressers are off with sickness and with anxiety and depression, and that's one of the things I wanted to combat, because people don't always say they're off with anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
They're off with other things, but I think that's what's at the root of it. And I think sickness costs salons a fortune every year, and the staff turnover is a problem. So they're the sorts of things that. I think if salon owners can keep hold of their staff, I think looking after them is one of the ways to do that. So
how do they get in contact with you to do a workshop in their salon? And because you do one-to-ones, you do workshops.
Yeah, so I have I operate mainly on Instagram. I am on Facebook, but I don't check it very often. Instagram's where I live. So at The Resilient Hairdresser, you can contact me on there, look at my stuff and DM me. Also, I have a website, theresilienthairdresser.co.uk, and all the information is on there. You can see everything that I do. So I basically do three things. I do live workshops in salons, but we can also do them via Zoom. If you're far away or whatever, or you're in lockdown or, whatever, we can do them via Zoom. I do, there's an online version of my workshop one, which is the one that's all about managing your mood. You can download that as an online course for one person. And then I do one-to-one coaching. So that's where you can just work with me one-on-one and talk about your own, very specific problems. So loads of people talk to me one-on-one, salon owners, people setting up their own salons, people wanting to leave a salon and set up, people who are, get into sort of midlife and wondering if they want to stay in hairdressing. It varies wildly.
Yeah, so
amazing. So
sorry, go on ahead, Angeline.
Who is your sorry, go on, Kerry.
No, you go ahead.
So who is your target audience?
No, you go.
Shush. So who is your target audience? So if you were, would you say anybody in hairdressing, or is it specific to managing or management?
No, it's all hairdressers. It's everybody in the hair industry, absolutely everyone. I think I have a different customer, if you like, for each thing that I offer. So my customer, if you like, who's paying the bill, for a workshop would be a salon owner. You know, who's paying the bill for an online course? Probably a freelancer or someone who works in a salon and their boss isn't interested. Who comes to me for coaching? Anyone in the industry. So,
Brilliant.
you know, it's everyone. And my workshops, particularly the first workshop, it works for assistants, managers, receptionists, hairdressers, just everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
So the part of me creating Locate Your Lurk was so that it was easier for salon owners, salon professionals to find businesses that can support and help them. And certainly after speaking to you today, I've never heard of you until this week. So I feel that this podcast and Locate Your Lurk will bring more benefits to salon owners and to salon professionals, because I think your business is tremendous. I think that if I knew about it when I owned my salon, I certainly would use you. So it's a great opportunity for salon owners, professionals, to get in contact with you and see what you're all about, because I think it's great.
I answer DMs. I'm good. You know, if people just slide into my DMs, I always respond.
So, Hayley, do you know what? I will get this in a minute. I'm so sorry. Hayley, if you were to give just 3 top tips, okay, going forward in December, for somebody just to think, okay, well, I've got these 3 things and I'm going to concentrate on those, what would they be for our audience?
Okay. I would say, think about what responsibilities you can put down for the month. What can you stop doing for a month? What can you outsource? What can you get your partner to do, your sister to do? What can you pay someone to do? You know, what can you get rid of for a month? That's number 1. I think make sure you're getting some sleep. You know, I think what happens often is that when people are really busy, they want to extend their evening. And so they end up going to bed later and later because they're trying to extend their social time. And then this really reduces your energy the next day, you know, where you sort of start staying up later and later. And then this has a knock-on effect with your energy. So I think, you know, have a bedtime. I know it's a bit sad, but I think that that's really important. And I think try and have some fun, you know, carve out little moments for fun. And really pay attention to when you're having fun, you know, when you're having a nice time, appreciate that. And, you know, carve out moments. I mean, it's hard to have fun at the moment, I get, you know, because, you know, depending where you live, you can't go for dinner. We can't go for dinner where I live. But, you know, you've got to take time, prioritize your life a little bit as well, you know, make sure you're still connecting with your friends, going for a walk, having some fun with your kids, whatever. So that's my top 3 tips.
Fantastic advice, Hayley. And I'm sure quite a lot of people out there are going to be using those top tips as well, because it means that they can focus on something positive, can't they, for the month ahead.
I'd like to give another one, actually. I think they need 4. Is plan a break, you know, plan a break to look forward to. Plan some time off.
Even if it's in the future, you've got...
you know, I get that you're fully booked for the next however long, and I get that. And I get that you can't even book a holiday. Like, I see all of that. And I think people are starting to think there's no point in taking time off because I can't go anywhere. But there is. I think there's a real point to it. And even if it's just a couple of days, plan a proper break.
Brilliant advice.
Great. Well, Hayley, it was great to have you on the salon.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
We've learned so much, and I think that every salon owner, every professional can benefit from you. So get in contact with Hayley. It's the Resistant Hairdresser.
The Resilient.
Sorry. I'll get it right. It's the Resilient Hairdresser and on Instagram, and she'll message you back.
Lovely to meet you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Brilliant to meet you, and I'll certainly be recommending you to some of the people I know.
Thank you, that's kind.
Thank you very much.
A big thank you to our guests today for giving up their time to share their own salon industry journeys. Don't forget to sign up to our channels so you don't miss out on the amazing guests we have lined up just for you. Big love from Kerry Humphreys, founder of Locate Your Look, and Angeline Hayden, founder of Midas Customer Service Training and Salon Solutions. See you next time on the Salon Chat Room podcast.